Welcome to another episode of Chat Sports Talk. He's on my name's Stat. Take a dive of sports. Welcome to week 7 of the college football season. That's right, we're at the week 7. This is the third Saturday in October. For some of you, that actually means something. And this weekend has a lot of key matchups. We have 3 games that feature undefeated teams going head-to-head for supremacy in their conference and sometimes even their division. Some key divisional matchups within the conferences, and other huge ranked games going at it. And all this fun-filled, exciting weekend that's happened with college football this week. But before we dive into all that excitement, if you could, give me a thumbs up, especially like the content revise you. Really please you two guys. Really help promote the channel out. You also subscribe, let you guys view my work. I love you for doing that. Does it cost you a dime? Helps me provide more content value for you. All right, well, let's kick off with a key matchup in the Big Ten West Division between Minnesota and Illinois. Illinois right now is ranked 24th, first time in the polls in quite a while. There could be early exit out of the top 25 after this game. All depends. One of the key players for the Gophers should be making his return this weekend, which will give the Illini defense some havoc. But the Illinois defense is not too shabby, to tell you the truth. So I'm sure they'll be step up to the plate. We're going to look at trying to see to corral this potent Minnesota offense. We'll see if Chase Brown can continue his dominance at the running game. He's not really scoring touchdowns, but he is setting the pace for the Illini offense, which is really helping catalyst them. But this is going to be a huge test for the Illini. Minnesota's trying to avoid going 1-2 in the division, especially in a division that's so tight as the Big Ten West, that they can't afford to lose too many games, otherwise you're out of contention. But Minnesota's actually favored by 6.5. I'm going to go with the Illini. I have a feeling that they may surprise a few teams here and there. I knew their magical run will end sooner or later. Or probably lose to a team they probably should beat. That's just the way Illini are. So I have a feeling that since they're underdogs, they're going to take that to effect and then hang on to beat Minnesota by a field goal. Then we head to the Big Ten East, where we have a matchup between top 10 opponents, both undefeated. Penn State goes to the Big House. They call them Big Blue and the Michigan Wolverines. This should be a very, very fun matchup between these two. These two defenses match up very well. As to see which offense can make the least amount of mistakes and capitalize on what the defense gives them. And right now, Michigan's favored by 7. I think it'll be less than that. I still think Michigan's going to win. I have a little bit more faith in their offense than I do Penn State right now. But I think it's going to be less than 7. I think it's going to be probably like a 4 points. It's going to be one of those weird, odd number game point spreads, like a 4-point win. But I think Michigan will look at this one as like, okay, they need to win this one, so that way their game against Ohio State will mean something. Penn State's one of these schools that could afford to probably lose to one of them, but not both. They probably have a better shot at beating Michigan than do Ohio State at this present point in time. But this is college football. Anything can happen. But I'm still sticking with the Wolverines at home. For those that don't know what the third Saturday October means, that means your annual Alabama versus Tennessee matchup. This is between another top 10 matchup between undefeated programs. That's right. Tennessee Volunteers are undefeated. Hooker is right now looking as one of those quarterbacks you could think could be in the contention for the Heisman. Bryce Young may or may not be playing this week, which could hamper the ability of the Tide. Because if he doesn't play, I think Tennessee has more of an advantage to win. But if he does play, it'll be a lot closer. Right now, Alabama has shown some kinks in their Crimson Tide armor that could be exploited by the Vols. And I have a feeling Tennessee is going to win at Rocky Top. So about this team, it's just starting to click, and I didn't have high hopes of them in the beginning of the season, and now they are starting to thrive. I think they kind of need this win to give them that catalyst. I don't think they'll be able to beat Georgia later on in the year. But I think this is one of these games I think they need to kind of win to put them on that national pedestal and probably bring Alabama down a bit, give them that loss, so that way they can take that loss and then run amok. That's just my opinion on that one, but I will take Tennessee in the win regardless if Bryce Young plays or not. Then a huge matchup in the Big 12 between undefeated programs, and this is like a top 15 matchup where Oklahoma State goes into Fort Worth to take on TCU. This is now one of these huge matchups to determine who has controlling stake in the Big 12 race, because you all know Kansas and Texas are right now right at their heels, as well as Kansas State. This should be a very high octane type of performance. TCU right now has a prolific offense. I mean, there's no question about that. But I think they're going to run into a little bit of issues with Oklahoma State. Right now, TCU is favored by 4. I think it's going to be Oklahoma State win by 4. I think it will be a shootout, and it's going to be who makes the least amount of mistakes and who can capitalize on those mistakes. And I will go with the Cowboys over the Horned Frogs. Now we head up to the Dome up there in Syracuse, where undefeated Syracuse will take on 5-1 NC State in a key ACC showdown. And NC State looks really, really good. I mean, there's no question about it. Syracuse also pulled off quite a few games. I watched that Purdue game. Of course, that's more about Purdue self-inflicted wounds and imploding that led to the Syracuse victory. But Syracuse maintained themselves. They kept battling back every time Purdue would throw a punch. They'll come right back with their own. So Syracuse definitely can exchange blows with teams if they have to. But this is one of these things where they might be out of their weight class in this particular bout. I think NC State's slightly better overall, even though they do have that one loss. But look who they lost to, Clemson. And I think that NC State is going to be a little too much for the Orange. Right now, Syracuse is favored by 3.5. I'm still going to go with NC State in a key win to put pressure on Clemson in the ACC title race. And nothing against the Orange. I think they're going to have a very great season, and they'll just bounce back after this loss. But, maybe they take on Clemson later on. But I have a feeling Syracuse will find a way to make themselves very relevant and be in the conversation in the ACC title game. And the one I think no one really is talking about too much is Arkansas heading out to Provo to take on BYU. Now, BYU is one of these schools that have a good game and follow with a bad game. They did that with Baylor and Oregon, and then now they have Notre Dame that they fell to, so this is time for them to bounce back and beat Arkansas. Arkansas should be getting one of their star players back as well. That's right now the spread on this one is even, so it's pretty much a pick'em game. And I know Arkansas is trying to stop their 3-game losing streak. I think BYU is looking to bounce back after getting beat by Notre Dame in Vegas. So I think this is when these both of them have abilities to or desires to get back on top. But right now, I'll focus more on Hall and the offense of BYU to edge out Arkansas. But this should be a fun game. There should be a lot of points in this one. All right, next up we have to the Swamp, where the 4-2 Florida Gators will play host to 4-2 LSU in their annual grudge match. This is between two quarterbacks that find themselves being very versatile, more of a running back more than a quarterback, it seems, from time to time, between Richardson and Daniels. And I believe more in Daniels' passing than do Richardson's. He tends to throw more interceptions. He's had 7 so far this season. It took him a while before he started throwing touchdowns. It actually took him to he had to take on Tennessee before he actually threw one. With that being said, that's where I kind of go with LSU. I mean, Kelly has got himself a pretty good team down there in Baton Rouge. I think it's more what Orgeron left him. Just wait till he starts recruiting. But anyways, But with Kelly and Napier both going head-to-head for the first time, I'm going to go with LSU winning in the Swamp in a close matchup. Because right now, the Florida's favored by 2.5. So just because they're at home, I think they get a little bit more of the home field advantage. But I'm going to go with LSU squeaking this one out, probably about like 1. Then staying in Florida, we'll go over to Tallahassee, where the Seminoles will play host to undefeated Clemson in a huge grudge match between these two programs. And DJ for Clemson has really started to blossom in his role as quarterback and starting really getting comfortable back there. I don't think he's going to have much of an issue with Florida State. I think Florida State will probably get the Clemson defense more than they can handle, which will probably make it a lot closer than probably what it should be. Right now, Clemson's only favored by 3.5, and I think it's going to be a very close one-score game. I'm not sure it's going to be a touchdown or field goal. Just kind of how Florida State tends to play these type of games, and they'll also be looking for a marquee win to kind of return back to form, and beating Clemson will give them that. But I think Clemson will just be able to outrun the Seminoles in this one. Then we head up to the Bluegrass State, where the 4-2 Kentucky Wildcats will play host to 5-1 Mississippi State. This is one I think Kentucky needs to kind of win to get back into prominence. They've kind of slipped it a little bit. And with them, I have a feeling they'll be winning one of these couple of games they got coming up that should really help them out, especially against ranked teams, because they still got their match against Tennessee as well. And Mississippi State tends to kind of, struggle here and there when it comes to certain games, and I have a feeling this might be one of them. I have a feeling Kentucky might surprise the Bulldogs in this. Mississippi State's favored by 4. Which kind of, gives you that little margin of error to kind of mess around with. But I know Rodgers is having a phenomenal year with over 2,000 yards passing and over 20 touchdowns. So he's definitely going to be a force to kind of look at. But if Kentucky can mimic what LSU did to him, I think it'll be nothing but Wildcats. Then we head out west, where the 20th ranked Utah Utes will play host to undefeated 7th ranked USC Trojans. Utah is looking to try to get back into the national spotlight, back in the picture, and avoid having 2 losses in Pac-12 play. Remember, the Pac-12 has gone away from divisions and decided to go. The top 2 teams will be in their championship game in Vegas. And right now, Utah's on the outside looking in, and they need this win to stay within striking distance. However, I don't see this happening against USC. Utah right now is favored by 3.5, which is, I think, is kind of unusual. But I think people look at that Utah's going to lose 2 in a row, especially losing to both schools from LA. Because I had them winning in UCLA, and they just couldn't. I don't think that Utah will be able to withstand USC. They might hang on with them for like a half, and then after that, USC should probably break it loose and probably win probably by at least 10. This seems to be the kind of their moniker recently. Struggle early, but finish strong. I think this is how the game plan is going to go in Salt Lake City. Struggle early, finish strong, and I say they win by 10 and beat the Utes. Then staying out west, we'll head up to Corvallis, Oregon, once again, as the 4-2 Beavers will play host to 4-2 Washington State Cougars. Now, these 2 teams I keep featuring on this season as teams that could go and upset or get upset themselves. I had Oregon State losing to Boise State and Fresno State, and they proved me wrong. And then I had picked them to beat other teams, and that failed. The same thing with Washington State. Now they go head-to-head. And for me, I kind of look at this one and go back and forth, because I always pick Washington State. They always seem to do pretty good defense, and Oregon State. So I think it's going to be a defensive showdown between these 2 for most of the game. And it'll break loose probably in the 4th quarter, where it just be, defenses get tired and they're like, just go. I don't care anymore. But I think Oregon State's going to outlast Washington State in this one. Right now, Oregon State's favored by 3.5, and I think it's going to be like a 3-point victory. Then the last game on this docket, that's right, I'm only doing 12 games this week. I'm not giving you any extras or anything like this. This is going to be the last game. See how this one plays out. But we're going to have to Cameron Indoor Arena. Oh, no, sorry. Wallace Wade Stadium out there in Durham, North Carolina, where 4-2 Duke will play host to 5-1 North Carolina. Yeah, just let those records right now sit in there and let them kind of ring your ears a bit. 4-2 Duke and 5-1 North Carolina. Now 5-1 North Carolina doesn't sound too bad anyways, because I think North Carolina always starts out strong in the beginning of the year and then kind of falter once they get into conference play. But Duke, you don't normally hear them being mentioned up there as like a 4-2 above 500 football team. So this is a great matchup. Normally one you worry about in the college basketball season is the two blue bloods for men's basketball. But on the grid, they go out in the gridiron. They're in Durham, and North Carolina's favored by 7 right now, all behind May. He's 100, a little bit under 100 yards short, 2,000 yards passing. Has 21 touchdowns in total passing. So he's going to be a key aspect. Depends on how North Carolina defense can corral Calhoun and make sure he's not doing too much, because he seems to be the favorite target right now for Duke. But I have a feeling North Carolina should escape Duke with a victory, and maybe that transpires to their basketball season coming up. Who knows? But there you go. Those are my picks. Like I said, I'm only doing 12. There's no extra games. Last week, my 12 games, I actually went 7-5, 4-0 in the extras. Overall, 39-29 overall, 18-10 in my extra games. Like I said, I'm not doing any extras this time. Straight up, here's my 12. There's a couple other games I wanted to mention, like the Notre Dame game against Stanford, which I think is going to be all Irish, Air Force, and ULV. But those are just my teams I want to mention, so I'm not going to really go after them. There's a lot of key matchups. A lot of matchups that are kind of flying under the radar because they're not ranked, but they are good programs right now, trying to fight to make sure they don't fall too far behind in particular races. But hey, just let me know down below what you think of this upcoming week. Which game are you really looking forward to really watch? Are you worried about the third Saturday in October? Are you looking for the clash in the big house? Oh, the battle in the swamp. Just let me know in the comments down below. While you're there, you can also hit that thumbs up once again. You can also share this video with your friends and family, which helps promote this video out. Once you subscribe, you can make sure you hit that bell notification. Let you know next time I post any more content on my channel. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.